Hey there, and welcome to Cosmetic Pros. Today, I am very excited to be speaking with Corina Calori from the Brow Lounge in Stevenage. Corina, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, you've got quite a established career in the PMU industry, so I'm looking forward to learning a little bit about that. So, to start off, why don't you just tell us a little bit about you and how you got started in the industry?
God, where do you start? A little bit about me. Well, it was just my birthday. I was born on the 5th of January. So, I'm still waiting on my present from you, Matt. Okay. I started off in PMU 7 or 8 years now. I think it was 2016. So, yes, it'll be 8 years ago. I originally got into tattooing when I was living in Australia. I prior to that was in the fitness industry, but unfortunately I was involved in a really big motorbike crash, which left me kind of, partially disabled for quite some time. So naturally my fitness career fell apart. So I had to think what was my next chapter. And I'd always wanted to do semi-permanent makeup ever since I had my eyebrows tattooed, which was about 10 years ago. I was always like, oh my God, like this is the best feeling in the world. I've just paid her £400, and this was, yeah, 10 years ago. And I walked out and I just felt like, oh my God, I've got my confidence, like I've got eyebrows on my face. I don't need to keep drawing them in every day. I don't need to worry about putting my head underwater. And I was like blown away by the treatment. So I always knew that one day I'd love to do something similar. So as a result, after this crash happened, I was moving to Australia afterwards, and I was like, right, now's the time, like new life, new career, let's retrain. So I did. I retrained. I was doing cosmetic tattooing alongside lashes because I'd always done lashes as a bit on the side, anyways. And then what that allowed me to do is build a client base, because cosmetic tattooing, you don't see people that often. So initially, when you start out, you may have one or two clients a month. So your bread and butter becomes your lashes or your alternative income. So I started doing one or two clients a month. Then I started doing two or three, then three to four. And then it kind of just grew from there. And then because I had already established a client base with my lashes out in Australia, people kind of automatically trusted me to work on their face. So it was a nice stepping stone. But also, like I say, it did take a long time to establish myself as just a permanent makeup artist, because my lash clients wouldn't let me go. They were like, no, you're not allowed to go anywhere. So I took a good few years to slowly move away completely from lashes. And the only time I'll say when I was like, nah, I'm full-time PMU was when I moved back to the UK, and that was in 2019 or 2018. I moved back and I was like, right, I'm not doing any more lashes. I'm done. I'm sick of lashes. And then, yeah, just solely focused on PMU. And so here we are now, 5 years later, back in the UK, in the cold,
Yes. Well,
I
maybe
love
apart
being
from
home.
going well, maybe apart from the weather.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting that you sort of highlighted there, coming from the lash background and having that alongside it. 'Cause I find that is one of the challenges I've seen with PMU and kind of like the SMP industry as well, where it is an almost one-time treatment. You haven't got so much of the repeat sale. It does set you to sort of ground zero each month in terms of clients. And when you're kind of building up and haven't got the steady referrals, that's one of the challenges I see. So I think having that platform was definitely a good boost, to help you come up. And then you've kind of got the trust there already for building that up on your
Yeah.
work.
And I
So,
think the other thing is, sorry, Matt, just to touch on that, I get contacted quite frequently by people who want to get into PMU. I was only on the phone a couple of days ago to a lady who was like, oh, I just want to add PMU to my service list. And I was like, it's not really an add-on service. Like, in order to do PMU, it's a tattoo. Like, it's art. It's something, it's a skill that you are going to need to get better at, like lashes. And if you're not doing it continuously, unfortunately, you're not going to get better. So you're going to struggle to get clients. You're going to be constantly frustrated with the work that you're producing. And that's what I mean. If the amount of times I say to people, come into this industry, but don't think that it's going to be your full-time job straight away. So yeah, it's definitely something that it's harder to build. It's a lot slower process, and it's harder to get better because you can only be as good as your last client. So same
yeah,
with, scalp as well.
Yeah, I think the actual, the practice and the experience is a big factor, and you only get that by
Hmm.
continuing. And I think as well, becoming just and good at what you do is also good. I see quite a lot in this industry. People tend to hop on the next training course a little bit too quickly and think sometimes if I just add more treatments or more to my bow, that's going to kind of make it easier. Where I think, yeah, like
Mm.
you sort of hit there, if you can kind of build yourself on, get the established as an expert, you're only going to become an expert by having that big portfolio, having that great elements of work, which coming on to, I know your Instagram is very kind of big behind your growth and certainly
Yes.
one of your prominent. How, as someone who's my own Instagram is terrible, my Instagram game, that's not where I've got much experience. How do you kind of go about building that? Because I think you've got kind of over 20,000 followers, haven't you, from what I've seen? And how long did that take
It's
to build?
literally,
Yeah.
it's the bane of my life, of my business. I'm a tattooist, a social media expert, a reel creator, a photo editor. Oh my God, it's insane. It's took 5 years. So I restarted my social media when I moved back to the UK because I was previously attached to a different company when I was in Australia. So I wanted my own name and my own identity and my own brand naturally. And so I started building my own Instagram in 2019. I decided that I wanted to keep it as my name because ultimately in this industry, it's me doing my work. Um, I had come from working with employees and decided that I never wanted to employ anyone ever again. So I was happy for it to be just my own name. And it's just grown. I've done a lot of paid promotions on Instagram. Um, Now and again, I'll post something that like sparks a lot of interest on there, or I get a lot of engagement. So I'm like, right, okay, great. This post is doing well. Let's pay some promotion around that. And I think when I trained with an industry icon years and years ago, he disclosed that he spent about $50 a day on his paid promotions. And I was like, oh my God, I'm spending like £2 or £3. What the hell? So when I heard him say that, I was like, oh, right, okay, I need to like up my budget then because he's at the time was at 200,000 followers and I was at about, I don't know, maybe 2,000. So that was one thing that I changed. I upped my budget and spent more money on Instagram. I upped, well, not upped, but I suppose I analyze my competitors, but not in terms of a jealousy way, but I love to see when people are doing well, but I also love to see what they're doing well at. And so I effectively try and recreate, some would say copy, but I think recreate with my own spin on things, like different reels, different posts, different collages. And I look at what other people are doing well and what attracts me to their page. And I try and replicate certain things. I found, because I'm an educator as well, that lots of different educational posts on there have helped my Instagram skyrocket. Controversy always sells, as Kanye West would say. So I do like controversial posts. I posted a video on there that hit nearly 500,000 worth of views, and that one did definitely gain me a lot of followers. But it was, the negative comments along with the positive comments that helped that video grow. And for me, I was just like, comment away, it doesn't bother me. What you do or don't say doesn't impact me. But sadly, more followers leads to more kind of credit, more kind of influence within the industry, more sponsorships, more recognition amongst other artists. So it's kind of been a bit of everything, to be honest with you. There is no, I would say, special sauce following the algorithm. The algorithm seems to change so much. I've kind of given up on that. I just do what I find works for my followers, which is educational posts, before and afters, but also I still stick with the pictures. I still really do love pictures. I think in what we do is such an artistic thing. So keep pictures there and not just make everything reels. And that's about it, really. Just try and stay creative. But recently, I've just had a string of videos that are all going viral. I don't know what I've been doing differently or who's took favor on me, but I'm not complaining.
Just keep it going. So
Yes,
you do all your own social media, like all your videos, all your content. That's
yes,
brilliant.
yes,
I like it. That's like a full-time job as
yes,
well, like you highlighted there.
yes,
I think so. Yeah,
yes.
hats off to you on that.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I've got Lucky I've got a very understanding husband because he'll sit and watch the football and I'll be on my phone. And I'm lucky I don't really like football. So whilst he's watching the football, I use it as an excuse to do my social media. So it's a win-win all round.
Strong. And I think very good. I certainly wouldn't call it copying what you highlighted there about, modeling off your competitors, looking at what they're doing, especially on social media and any sort of digital marketing, sort of success leaves clues, basically. They're people are winning for a reason. They're doing something right. So kind of, yes, don't copy, but taking those top two, three as a sort of benchmark for what you should be doing is, yeah, I think that's definitely the right strategy. And as you can see, has probably helped you getting started. And then after that, you can kind of define your own way. So I think you kind of hinted to it a little bit there. You're a sponsored artist as well.
Yes, yes. And I've just recently, I suppose, January, like this year, I'm a sponsored artist with Killer Beauty, which was an amazing compliment. Yeah, compliment to be asked by them to be part of their sponsored artist team. And then Quadrant, who are the needle guys, whose needles I use and I love. They also just contacted me and asked me if I wanted to be one of their pro artists as well. So I've just come on board as their pro artist team in January as well. So yeah, really, really happy with those.
So through sponsorship, do they just kind of see what you're doing, reach out to you, and
Yeah,
then
so I tend to tag a lot of different people in videos. I've found that that's worked as well in terms of like engagement, but it's also recognition for them to see, okay, I'm using your products, help me by because I'm promoting you. And then, excuse me, sorry, in turn, they've then got in touch with me to be like, okay, we love your work. You tag us in a lot of things. You obviously buy from us. You obviously order us things. Like it works in both teams' favors. So then they ask you to come on board as a sponsored artist or a pro artist. There is obviously a commitment there. Both sides, I have to post a certain amount of posts. I have to let people know where my products come from. It's kind of like I scratch your back, you scratch mine, but then in turn, they repost my work. They refer people to me. I get sent out goodie bags and freebies, which I never complain about. And they're always willing to help me. Well, Killer Beauty has been. I'm sure Quadrant will be the same as well, with like supplying things for any masterclasses or students and things that I have too. So it's great to be a pro artist.
yeah, great achievement. And I think, yeah, like sharing the products, they're products you're using anyway. So you're using them before you got sponsored. So being able to share that and give the audience, more insight into what's going on, what you're going to be using is only going to kind of help the clients or help the people you're training on the products. So you said you do training as well in PMU side.
Yes.
What's your kind of approach to that, and what can people expect if they?
I think the biggest thing I realized when I moved back here was the level of training when I started getting contacted for masterclasses by students wasn't near what I was used to receiving. I went through, albeit it was only a week's beginner course, but it was very thorough. And the school that I did learn with were very good at bringing me back on board in terms of to help me get better and provided a lot of ongoing support. And then when I moved here and people started contacting me because they liked my work and they wanted to do masterclasses with me, and I'd be like, okay, so do you know about X, Y, and B? And they'd be like, no. And so I started instantly thinking, okay, what's going on here? Like the level of training is just not sufficient. And then I noticed a lot of one day courses or a lot of things here in the UK that I was just like, how can you learn to tattoo in a day? Or how can you learn to tattoo online and you submit case studies? Like it just blew my mind. So I think it then speared me on to start training others, but to start training others to a point where I was like, okay, if you're going to invest in me, I'm going to invest all of my knowledge into you, and all of the courses that I've done over the years, I'm going to tell you what I think is best from each of those to help you grow as an artist. But furthermore, I'm going to continue to support you, and you don't need to feel like you can't WhatsApp me or send me a message and I'm not going to respond. You can always contact me. Every year as well, I do like a skills refresh day with just my students, and I invite all my students back and we just meet in a central location. We just have a nice chilled either day. The most recent one was a weekend. We went through the latest hair stroke technique. Everybody just had a really nice chit chat, because the other thing in these industries is people can get quite lonely. And because I teach and because I've got quite a big social following, I find that I'm always on the phone and I'm always talking to other PMU artists, or I'm always meeting with people, or I put myself out there to network. Whereas not everybody is me or able to do that or feels confident to do that. So I like to, with my students, make sure that everybody has the opportunity to come back together again and meet other people so they don't feel so lonely. And, you know, when we've had a bad day or we've had a bad client, we've got someone to come back to. So long story short, I try and make sure that my training encompasses everything that I think lacks in certain courses, because I always want my students to feel like they've left better than they arrived. So yeah, but I did last year, not last year, the year before November, start a beginner's course, and beginners come with a different level of challenges because they are beginners. But having now done that for 12 months, I'm taking a slightly different route with the beginners courses as well, which I'm excited for.
I think training in not just PMU, the kind of whole aesthetics and cosmetic industry is quite a big subject at the moment in terms of like some of the stuff and change that are coming out. And I think partly what you've sort of highlighted there, where I think maybe during COVID as well, a lot of these online courses popped up, quick training, fast track sort of stuff. And yeah, it's not really the best output for the industry, you know, in terms of the people who come out and they have that training. Like we sort of said earlier, they haven't, it's very experience based. If you haven't had enough sort of practice, if you haven't done enough with models and stuff, you're not necessarily ready to like just shoot out. So I think the kind of depth that you outlined there, and like you said, sort of noticing, fixing maybe what's missing in some of the courses is a good thing to focus on. So for PMU, I'm for a male, I might know a little bit more about this on my counterparts, but certainly far from expert. So what are some of the like the types? What's right for which client? What's your kind of favorite as your brand?
So PMU comes in many forms and styles. In terms of the services that I offer eyebrows and lips, but you can now get freckles, you can get a cheek blush, you can get areola tattoos, which is not PMU, it's medical. But at the same time, you know, it's the same tools and same kind of format. You've got a scalp, as you'll know, where they tattoo the hair follicles back on, which looks incredible. So there's so many different things you can do. Some countries I've even seen concealer, although I'm staying well away from that. Eyeliner, eyeshadow as well. So there's lots of different things, but I just specialize in eyebrows and lips. In terms of the eyebrow services that I offer an ombre, which is more like the powder brow style. It's what I have, more of a fuller style brow. Then you've got the combination, which has got the hair strokes at the front with the powders on the tails, or you've got full hair strokes, which is basically designed to replicate a natural hair stroke brow. Of those treatments, creatively, I love to do hair stroke brows because it challenges me most as an artist. However, the most popular treatment that I do are ombre brows, and what suits most people are ombre brows because it's best for all skin types. And generally, after a little while, the hair stroke brows end up being a little bit too natural for the majority of people who want to get permanent makeup, because they are designed to be natural. They're designed to add a soft enhancement to your eyebrows. But I think people think, oh, I'm going to get more than what I did. So over time, they eventually evolved to a powder brow.
And within that, there's obviously you use inks, but there's very different types of inks and pigments. What are some of the sort of the science behind that, if you like, and techniques you would kind of choose what people should look for?
One of my favorite topics right now. I mean, I won't go into the complete science. This way, there's a couple of different ranges on the market. So you've got organics, inorganics, and hybrids. And they all come with their own positives and minuses, pros and cons. Different brands are known for different ones. But I think the industry initially, when I first got into it, were very big on inorganics. But then over time, we were finding that they were fading out to be like peaches and reds. And so the industry decided, oh, how can we stop this? What's going on? And so they came up with an organic style pigment. Then a couple of years down the line, we're now noticing that the organic pigments aren't going anywhere. So although the inorganics are fading more peaches, these ones are now staying, and they're staying a long time, and they're proving quite resilient in terms of getting rid of them from the skin. And they're looking more grey or sometimes, unfortunately, blue. So now you've got your hybrids that have recently come around. I suppose some would say that, there's been hybrids around for a while, but I think of them more as of late, where they basically combine the best of the both worlds to try and develop and design a pigment that is going to fade out nicely, not be peachy or pinky, not be grey or blue, but also last longer than 8 to 10 months, but then not as long as 3 to 5 years. So the industry's still, I think, finding its feet in terms of what works, but it's a tricky one. The reason why the PMU pigments tend to fade or tend to look a little bit differently to ink as well that you'd use on body art is because we implant inks at a much more shallow surface. So we're literally just below the skin that you see, whereas with your tattoos, they would go quite a bit deeper. So, we go about 0.5 of a mil in terms of depth, whereas they would go, I'm pretty sure they go down to about 2 mil in some spots on the body. I could be wrong there because I'm not a body art tattooist, but I'm sure it's about 2 to 3 mil that they do go. So there's a couple of differences between us. I also think they're a lot more artistic than some of us as well, and they've had to undergo a lot more training. Sorry, I completely divulged onto tattooists. But yeah, there's just a few reasons why we are industries in our own right as well.
So I know there's a new service you've introduced relatively recently with you're doing laser tattoo removal now in Stevenage. So we'll go on that a little bit, and maybe we just, so that is another part of it, as well as the application, kind of the removing and the redoing process. What's kind of involved in that, and what are kind of things, if someone's maybe looking for removal or thinking of training and doing it as a service, what the kind of things they should focus on or think of?
So, as I said, the industry has evolved. So when it evolved into organics and they've started becoming quite permanent, and because of the inefficiencies in the training, where people have been going down too deep in the skin or just doing things that shouldn't be done or drawing eyebrows in the wrong place or XYZ, people realized that actually we needed to be able to remove these. So there's two methods that I know of. I'm sure there's more, but one is saline removal, which is a solution that you tattoo into the area. And what it does is it breaks down the pigment within the skin and it helps to lift it up, and it kind of like scabs out of the surface of the skin. Sounds worse than it is. It's not that bad. I've had that done to me. And then you've got laser. Laser is a very expensive thing to participate on, as it should be, because you shine a laser in the wrong place and you can start a fire or blind someone. It's very expensive to get into, but I love it. I love the fact that I can remove other people's mistakes, and not just mistakes. Fashions change, people change. I mean, I've been removing some of my own work on clients because we've been using organics on them for so long that now there's that level of saturation from the organic pigments whereby it's not going anywhere. Like, your skin can't get rid of carbon. Your body can't do nothing with it. So it's just hanging around. So let's just get rid of it. Let's just break it down, take it out through the lymphatic system, and then let's start again. And it's been the biggest kind of relief in terms of this since I've been doing this in the last 8 years, and I'm now like stress free. If someone doesn't like their brows, it's fine. I can remove them. It doesn't bother me. And I can do that through two formats, saline or laser. My preference would always be to go to laser first, but there is definitely a time and a place for saline. So it's a very, very quick treatment. Saline is a little bit longer, but yeah, absolutely loving laser. Come to me with all of your mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's quite good as well for people to know that if they have got kind of work, even if it's not like wrong, but they're just, like you said, with fashions changing it, they got something, and it's like if you got a tattoo that you used to love but don't love anymore, they can actually go somewhere, get it removed, and then kind of get the modern style or whatever there's want to change
look,
now.
my eyebrows are 10 years old. I got them done initially way back when in one style. Since in the last 10 years, I've probably had them done another 6 times or 7 times by various people, including myself. They're now at a point, because I did switch from inorganics on me because they were going peachy to organics. So now my skin is at a point where it's like, well, we can't take anymore. You need to get rid to redo. So I will eventually remove mine. I can't do it myself, but I've got a colleague who will do it. I will eventually remove mine just to redo them. I'm going to keep the same shape. I just want them a little bit lighter, and I just don't want them as saturated. There's nothing wrong with it. It will take me one session, they'll be gone, and then we can redo after 8 weeks.
Perfect. And I think another achievement you've had quite recently is you got an award, I think, for the from Hairstroke UK.
Yes.
So what was that sort of for? How did that come about? And what was that specifically for?
So I love training. I'm a bit of a training fiend, but I like to train with people who are not easy for others to access because I want to be different. So I last year in January went and trained with an amazing Slovakian artist. She's an award-winning artist and she's just, yeah, her work is beautiful. So I went over there and trained with her. And then when I trained with her, she was like, Corina, your work is really good. You need to enter a competition. And I was like, oh, I really don't like competitions. Like, I don't do well under pressure. If you ever got me playing snooker, I would, or is it pool? I'd always lose on the black because I do so bad under pressure. I was like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. Then she messaged me again and she was like, Corina, you really do need, and when I started posting my work, she's like, you need to enter this competition. I was like, oh, I don't know. She's like, I'm going to be there. I want to see you there. And I was like, okay. So I entered the competition and I didn't expect to win. So after, a day in this room competing, because I entered in two categories, the hair stroke category started at like 6 p.m. at night, but I'd been there since 8 a.m. in the morning, And yeah, the next day were the awards. And the first awards, I was like, oh, I didn't win anything on the powder brows, never mind. And so I messaged my husband and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna come home in a minute because I was feeling really, really poorly as well. And he was like, babe, just stay, just find out about the second one. And then my name came up and I was like, oh my God. So yeah, I did not expect to win it, to be honest with you, because there was some amazing, amazing artists there. And I've only been doing that new style since January, and the competition was in October actually, because it was around my daughter's birthday. So yeah, I was very, very proud of that. Yeah.
Congratulations, that's a great achievement.
Thank you.
So you kind of mentioned there as well, your daughter, obviously you're a business owner, an artist, an Instagram marketing expert, award-winning. What are the sort of challenges you kind of find in that? I know obviously it's, part of it and part of going, but there's obviously a lot of stuff you do. You've got to wear many hats. Yeah, what are some sort of like challenges and obstacles you kind of find in the day to day and as you move forward?
Do you know what? That's a tricky one because I don't find what I do challenging because I absolutely love what I do. Social media is always going to be social media. I've got a good work-life balance whereby I only work in terms of tattooing 4 days a week. So I have 3 days a week to be able to get like the errands done, the housework, the shopping and whatnot. So I don't know. The challenge is I'd say time. I mean, we could always have more time, right? But if we had more time, we'd just work more. I suppose that's one of the challenges. I I don't know if it's a challenge or more of a pet peeve, but the amount of trainers in the industry that are trying to churn through innocent people, telling them they're going to make a six-figure income. People will know if they follow me. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. I suppose that's a challenge because for me, I'm having to find clients because I still have to get clients. I still have to tattoo new faces, and I have to pretty much explain why my prices are more than theirs. And it's kind of like it it comes with experience and it comes with art and it comes with a level of expertise that you don't just get overnight from a beginner's course. So I suppose that's one of the challenges. And yeah, and time, not having enough time. Because you can always do it with more time, right?
Time is universal, I think. I mean, it sounds like as well, I think that's kind of where you are in your sort of business journey. Like you mentioned, the work-life balance, you've kind of got things very, stable, which is, good. I think as
Mm.
well, what you said there with, the training and the six-figure income, I think a lot of them kind of, just basically realized it was easier to sell training than it was to get clients for doing PMU. And that's why there's like kind of a flood of models constantly needed. And I think, promising I've kind of, spoken to others, and it's a topic that's come up from quite a few people. It's the same sort of thing. It's that false. It's like, yes, you can make that sort of money, but you need to invest a lot of time, effort. You're not going to be doing it in your kind of first 6 months after you've paid it. And that's why I think the business courses I like, or the training courses I like, are the ones that kind of include a lot of the business stuff with it as well. So I think, yes, you need to be good at what you do, and you need to know how to do that, but there's a lot you need to sort of understand with business as well, and realistic, and how getting clients,
Do you know what? On that note,
structuring time.
actually, I would say, based off of what you're saying, another challenging aspect is people's expectations. And this is where the training academy comes into it. Because you've got people out there saying, make a 6-figure income, do this course, and be on your way. That's one of the challenges. But then the other challenge is the expectations of students. I don't sell make a 6-figure income. I say, you can do a new career and it can be life changing. But then students come and they're like, okay, well, how do I get my clients? Or how do I do this? How do I get better? And then I will set tasks and I will set challenges. But for example, okay, you need to be doing an hour a week of latex practice. And then I'll message and say, okay, can you send me your practices this week? Oh, I haven't done any. Okay, but you want to get better. You've just qualified. So go away and do some brow mapping. Can you send me your brow mapping? Oh, I haven't done any. So again, it's that level of, I can take water, but if you aren't going to drink, what do you want me to do? So it's that catch-22. Like, there's only so much. Like, I know the students that want to do well because I see it from the get-go. I'm like, right, send me a practice, they're on it. Or they're messaging me 3 times a week, Corina, check this practice, Corina, check this, check that. Or they're sending me stuff on Instagram, or they're tagging me in things. So I can see the people who are going to do well, and I can see the people that aren't, unfortunately.
Yeah, you give everyone the tools, but if they're not going to put the application or do what's necessary, I think you hit it there. Do the work, essentially. That's
Mm-hmm.
can't be done for them, and that's
Yeah.
similar. I think in a lot of industries. Sometimes you do maybe get the course hoppers as well, who will looking for the next thing or the next easy route. Whereas no, a lot of time it's okay. You've got what you need to do. You actually need to be consistent and show up every day. So you've introduced the laser tattoo removal as your newest sort of feature introduced to the clinic. Are there any other kind of plans on the horizon, maybe sort of longer term? Where are you looking to kind of take Corina and the Brow Lounge as we go?
So in terms of the shop itself, I'm going to continue to provide the amazing services that I do. So not much is going to change there. I don't intend on adding any more services just yet. So I have the tattooing, I have the brow lamination, the tinting and waxing. So purely brow focused. And then I have the laser tattoo removal. So I'm really happy with the services that I provide. Training, I have a more of a focus and a more on a push towards master classes. With beginners, like I say, it does require a lot more time and attention. So they do take up a bit more. So I don't tend to do as many beginners a year. I'm going to add one more training course, which will be training people as like an eyebrow entry course. So one thing that I've found since starting beginners is a lot of people want to change industries, or they want to change careers, which I'm all for. I did it. I came from fitness and I came into the beauty industry, but they come with, lack of skills and lack of knowledge, but not because of their own doing. Because, you don't realize how much you need to be able to be artistic and be able to draw and see things within this. And that's okay. I don't want to stop you or dim your light. But what I want to do is, I don't want to take anybody's money or encourage them to enter an industry if I can see that they may struggle to build or be an artist. So I'm actually introducing a new course this year, like I say, that's purely focused on brow waxing, tinting, and laminating. What that will do is it won't be such a costly training course. It will allow students to build the client base that they're going to need when they then move into tattooing. It'll allow them to grow a social media presence without the pressure of feeling like, oh my God, like I'm never going to get better at this, because tattooing takes a lot longer to get better at than brow tinting, waxing, and laminations. It also allows them to practice brow mapping, which is the hardest skill as a beginner that so many people struggle with. But the difference is when you're tattooing those brows on someone's face, that's permanent. When you're tinting them, they last for maximum 2 to 3 weeks. So your clients are going to keep coming back. So you're going to have a faster turnover of being able to remap and practice and get better and get faster than putting a permanent procedure on someone's face. So that is what I'm launching this year. Early this year, I'm in the process of just writing it and getting it all done up. So I'm going to call it an entry eyebrow course. And if people are coming from an industry outside of the beauty, then I would like them to do that for a minimum of 6 months. And I'm telling you now, it's going to put a lot of people off. But the people who do that, they'll thank me in the long run. Because of all of the beginners that I've trained since I started my beginners course, I think I did about 12 beginner students last year. I've only had about 4 pass. So the other 8 have spent thousands of pounds and then they've realized how hard it is. And I don't want to do that to anyone. So that was the biggest learning that I took away from the beginners classes last year, that I needed to do something more for people. So basically taking it back to the basics. So that's one thing in a roundabout way. But then I've got a couple of little things up my sleeve. I can't go into too much information. It's kind of secret at the moment, but I've got a product that I'm currently developing that's going to change the game. It's an eyebrow product, but I can't really tell you much more than that.
Off camera.
Yeah.
But,
You can find out off
I'm
camera.
interested, but can't give the secret away.
I'm so pumped about it. Like, I'm currently working with UK chemists to design it, and I've got a beautiful team that I'm working with. And so, it's going to be a product for people who have permanent makeup initially, but then, let's see where it goes from there. Basically, I'm looking to get on Forbes by the end of this year. I've got to have my goals, right?
That's it. It's good. Yeah, dream big, overshoot them. And then I think the other project that you do have going at the moment as well is your PMU podcast.
So I have my own podcast.
So what's the kind of focus point of that? Obviously, we know PMU, but what do you like to kind of focus on? What's your kind of guest and audience you are going for?
Like I said already, the industry can become quite lonely. And myself and my colleague, Tamara, who hosts it with me, TB Beauty, we talk all the time. But we talk and we got to know each other because she was one of my students. But like I say, not everybody's in that same boat. So what we realized was lots of us like to talk about permanent makeup. But, there's only so much we can talk to our friends or our husbands about. So we decided to launch the PMU podcast. It's been really successful so far. We've had some great guests. I think the most challenging thing with that is getting guests because, different diaries and different availabilities, but you want guests who are going to add value to your podcast as well. Like, you don't just want somebody coming on and talking about what the last person talked about. You always want someone to come and bring something new. So along with finding guests and coordinating diaries, because we don't have enough time, it's doing really well. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to have more episodes available, but that'll happen. We'll build it slowly. But the PMU podcast is about permanent makeup. Permanent makeup, challenges that we face, how people have got to the successful places that they've gotten to, what challenges have people had, messages for people if they were thinking about entering the industry, and just a range of topics that is designed to inspire listeners and help listeners to think about the choices that they're making as well within the industry.
It's going to be great content. And I think, with stuff like that, it's good, it's evergreen. So, it can be very slow to build up in the start and quite challenging, but it's good to have it out there, have the interesting guests. Because even if you've done an interview that, in your first couple of episodes, your first 5 episodes, yes, that might not. But once people come on the sort of back end, they're going to go back through the catalogue. They're going to find other stuff they like. Is there anything else, that you would like to share today with either, prospective PMU clients or people looking to get into the PMU industry that you think they should either look out for or think be helpful for them to think about?
I think the industry right now is struggling. This is probably the quietest I've ever been. And I think the cost of living, the impact of COVID, there's numerous reasons as to why, but I do think the industry is struggling right now. So I think that anybody who does want to invest in this, who wants to enter into this industry, or who is a PMU artist and thinks that they're alone with it being quiet. I suppose there's two ends to that. If they're already a PMU artist and they're questioning, what is it that they're doing wrong, all I'd say is you're not alone. Like, I speak to a lot of people, and a lot of people are in the same position. So keep doing what you're doing, because we will get back to what we once were, and the world, hopefully. And yeah, just keep practicing. I say to people every week, if you're not doing tattooing on people, then at least practice. I don't think you necessarily need to jump ship. Things will be a little bit quieter, so we all need to rein in our belts a little bit. But if you're looking to enter the industry, be under no illusion that this is easy. Like you said earlier, Matt, like, it's basically having to find 365 clients for every day of the year, every year, because it's a tattoo that we're putting on people's faces. Yes, there are maintenance visits, and yes, people will be coming back, but they won't be coming back that often. So it's a very hard slog. Don't get sold by the 6-figure income. Don't get sold by a 1-day course, because even if you do that 1-day course, the amount of money that you're going to spend on future training, it's going to be thousands more. So just invest in yourself well from the beginning. So that'd be my 2 messages to both sides of the coin.
Of the coin. So, yeah.
And invest in a good SEO. Invest in a good SEO agent from the beginning.
Yeah, we would always recommend that. SEO is important. Instagram's great, but yeah, come to the SEO side as well.
Yeah. I happen to know a great one if you want his details.
Send them there. And then maybe finally, so obviously beside Corina at the Brow Lounge, who would you kind of say are good people in the industry to kind of follow? Who would you maybe like look to as sort of good role models maybe for the industry, or people to look at on Instagram, again, for either clients looking at like good examples of work, or people just other artists thinking like, okay, who should I listen to, who should I follow?
There's so many people, because again, I think during lockdown we all had to become a little bit more creative and a little bit more willing to give information to others, because we had to fill our time doing something, right? There's a lot of American artists that I absolutely love. I love Brows by Alexis. I love Mosha Studio. There's another lady, but she's just changed her Instagram name. I can't remember what it is. Elysian 360. She does so many tutorials. Then you've got in the UK, you've got Jasmine Zabellas, who's got the PMU Uni, which is an amazing, contribution in terms of education to our industry. And then on the other side of that, you've got Layla Hinchin, I think, who's got the PMU Circle. So again, they're both great tools for education. You've got Alex McChini, who I love. She's just honest. She just says things as she is. But then you've also got artists like Gabrielle Rock, who are absolutely hilarious, who I follow just because I love watching her skydiving journeys. So there's quite a few. And then, of course, I've got Tamara, my work wife, who should post more, but doesn't post enough. Yeah, I love Tamara's work, and how I've seen her grow and develop as an artist is incredible as well. But yeah, there's loads of people. Loads.
Yeah, you've shared a lot there. There's a few. I'm sure people can Google or Insta search to find out. I think it's just always good to have like other examples, and who, when someone's successful, like who do they look to? Again, like we said, sort of success leaves clues, and if people are trying to kind of model the right path in the industry,
I would say, sorry to interrupt. On that note, though, I think there's a lot of people in this industry that happy to provide information or happy to show your work, but I think we tend to compare. So I would also say be careful on who you follow, because it's so easy for us to sit there and be like, our work's not that great, why can't we do that, or why doesn't my work look like that? And then you start bringing yourself down. So I would just say to people, be very careful with how many pages, like follow a page, but if you find yourself comparing and it's making you feel down, mute it. That person will never know, but it will make you feel better by not feeling like you need to sit there and look at someone's work who you think is better than you. But ultimately, that's art. It's always going to be different. You're going to have two people learn the same skill and the same thing, but they're going to do two different things.
It's going to give you kind of bad thoughts. I think definitely if you're looking up to people, it should be kind of inspirational, or they've done
Yeah.
something good, and that's gonna I think like you said, you kind of looked at two or three people, took a little bit from each of them, into your own style. And yeah, I think that's just, especially for people newer in the industry, there's like a lot of people have gone through some of the problems already, so they might have the
Mm.
answers out there. Is there anything else you would like to share today with our audience or touch up on?
Just stay tuned for what I've got to come.
Let's stay
This
tuned. I'm
year's going
looking
to
for
be an exciting year. Yeah, this year's going to be an
yeah,
exciting year. So I'm excited to announce some big things over Instagram. Yeah, let's just stay nice and positive.
we might have to get you back on for when when you launch, can talk about the launch. But
Happy to
okay,
be, happy to be.
that's brilliant. And obviously I will link in wherever people are watching this, whether it's YouTube, on the socials and that, there will be some links to Corina at it's corinacalori.com is your website, isn't it? And is it at Corina Calori on Instagram?
Yeah, it's actually Calori. It's Italian. So
Calori.
Corina Calori.
Calori.
Yeah. CorinaCalori.com, Corina Calori on Instagram. Anything, it's just Corina Calori.
Got the brand established.
Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time, Corina, and
Thank you.
we'll speak again soon.
All right. Take care.
Take care.